And then you can easily segregate your logic. For example, if you want to have certain computation to be done and that need not to be interacting to your internet, then you can keep it into a VPC and keep those logics separate from internet. So this way you can logically isolate your complete section from the outer world. So the main purpose of VPC is this one. So yeah, so regarding courses, we'll answer query. So let's first begin, and after that, in mid we'll answer your queries regarding the courses. So meanwhile, keep on posting in the chat. I'll just answer your queries. Okay. So basically, if you see, then every VPC has like two sections. It is like private and public subnets. So basically, if you want to expose any instance uh, to the world, so you need to have a public IP for that. So, and if you want to communicate within that VPC, then you need to have a private IP. So we'll demo you how to create these things. But before that, we'll just give you a theoretical knowledge, and after that we will create all those VPC, and I'll just demo you how things work in a virtual private cloud. Then again, miss there are so many advantages of this, and one of this is like means you can have like multiple logics in different VPC, and if they want to be connected within each other, you can do that also. And so for example, there will be many people who will have like different VPC and some data on their on-premise. So those also you can connect. So those you can connect through either basically creating a virtual private, basically virtual private gateways, or you can have private link with them. So this will demo everything. And regarding security, you can secure your virtual private cloud. If you are going with ACL, then you can secure even outbound traffic and inbound traffic. And for each instances, you can have like security groups which will decide which traffic will come and go out from each instance. So this is an overview of this today's session. And then let's begin. So if you see means basically I'll just demo you an what do you say, AWS account. So I'll demo you how to create all these things. And if you have any query till now, you can ask. I'll answer those, and after that we'll move to next basically the demo section. Let's begin with the demo section. So let me go to my AWS console. Let me go to my, if you have logged into your AWS console, you can directly search over here for VPC, or you can scroll down and go to the network section and you will find the VPC. So basically here you will find by default there will be one default VPC, and nowadays means you can even delete that default VPC and recover it. Earlier days it was not that visible, but now you can delete it. So before deleting, you need to clear all the associated resources with it. So if you have any question, I'll answer that, and then we'll again move to this demo session. Okay.
9:30 in the morning, and it will end with the networking lunch. There will be speakers coming in from GitHub Corp and Red Hat Corp, and mostly it's a community driven event. So hence I'm getting in touch with various communities within Bangalore and or around Bangalore. So everybody who's interested, you can drop in a text to me privately, either within this call or chat, or we can get in touch separately. I'll drop in my email to everyone as well. That's about it, Mohit. Anyone who's interested, I can directly share my details.
Sure. Sure, then let's begin our session. So
Thank you
if
so
you
much.
have, if you guys have any query, just drop an email to Isha, and you can take further from there. So meanwhile, Isha, can you just put your email address in the chat?
Will do. I'll send it across to everybody.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks,
Thank you.
Isha.
Thanks.
So yeah, so let's begin our demo session. So meanwhile, someone was asking to give a brief intro of the AWS service console, basically AWS console. So yeah, so basically, if you're asking about the search console, so there are certain sections which are already basically listed out over here. So each section, if you see, this is divided into means small, that you can say that logically what they are going to do. For example, these services are related to your compute. So all this will be regarding computation. So if you want to go with serverless, you can use AWS Lambda. If you want to go with basically servers, you can go to EC2. And then means all these are like that. So if you are going to use Docker, you can go with the ECS, and for orchestration, you can use EKS. That is like Kubernetes. And so certain batches, if you want to run batch program, you can use this batch service. And elastic bin stack is like means if you want to get started and you don't have that much DevOps knowledge and you want to leverage on AWS service to do the DevOps for you, so you can go with elastic bin stack. So it has complete complete set of things, so you can directly click on certain steps and you can directly means start your application. So it will make life easy if you don't know that much of DevOps. And also means yeah, so basically if you want to get started with serverless also, then you can directly copy from the serverless application repository and you can start on your own. Similarly, there are services with storage. So like S3. So S3 is like object-oriented storage, and object storage, and EFS is like file storage. So basically, if you want to store anything as an object, suppose you want to store a JSON response, you can use S3. So or if you want to store a file, so image file or static contents, you can directly use S3. So those data will be stored as objects. And EFS is like a you can think of it as an hard drive, so which can be attached to multiple instances at a time. So that is what EFS in layman language you can think of. Then similarly, there is FSX, then S3 Glacier, the storage gateway, AWS backup. So all these are like a storage services which AWS offers. So the salient services among these are like S3 EFS, then FSX is also good, then S3 Glacier. So for example, if you want to archive your data and you want to uh, optimize the cost, you can use S3 Glacier. So you can use S3 Glacier for that. So yeah, and for example, there are a lot of database services also over here. So if you want to go with any basically relational database, you can go with the RDS, and if you want to go with NoSQL database, you can go with DynamoDB. So it's like you can think of and this as quite near to databases like MongoDB, not that much nearer, but yeah, means you can think of it like that. And there is caching service, which is Elastic Cache, and there are many other services like if you want to go with some uh, analytic data, you can use Redshift. So all these are like database services. Then again, there are migration and transfer services. for example, when you want to migrate your data from one on-premise to your this cloud, or you want to uh, move data from certain databases to your AWS cloud database, or basically RDS, you can use these migration services like data migration services there. So all these things you can use. And if you are like having very large, very large data, and say terabyte or petabyte, this kind of data, you can go with Snowball. So what Snowball is, basically hardware in which you can directly upload your data, and then you can transfer that hardware to back to AWS, and they will transfer the data from Snowball to AWS cloud. So these are so many services for migration. Then there are networking and content delivery services. So one of them is VPC, which we are talking today. And there is CloudFront. So this is like a CDN. So basically the one of the uh, advantage of what do you say, CloudFront is you can stream your data from here. So if you see like Hotstar, and there's so many services which already use CloudFront quite significantly. And you can deliver means even your entire website, basically including dynamic, static, and streaming and interactive content using this CloudFront. And the main advantage of this is, since they uses edge locations, so the content delivered through CloudFront is quite quite is the fastest, you can say, among if you go with any, because there will be very less latency. So as a result, it will be the content will be delivered very fast. Only thing is, like, means if you update something into like CloudFront, and if it is not updated into edge location, you will get the previous content. So this will be there, but the delivery from the edge location will be quite fast. And then we have Route 53. So this is like your you can say domain domain mapping, those kind of services. You do those kind of work you can do with Route 53. Then API gateway. This is like a gateway between your Lambda function and the outer world. Okay, and similarly, there are like all these are like network services, networking and content delivery services, which you can use. Then they have customer engagement service, blockchain, satellite, quantum technology, management and governance. So these services will take care of your complete. This management and governance service will take care of your complete infrastructure, uh, which you are using on AWS, and you can monitor using these services. Even if you want to check whether you are working properly into your AWS services are working properly or not, and is there is any security vulnerability over there, you can use this trusted advisor, which will list out all the possible vulnerabilities in your system, and it will suggest the best practices. And similarly, means like if you want to check how whether it is well architected or not, it will you can use this AWS well architected tool. So it will be a questionnaire where you can just answer to their questions, and it will tell you that what else you need to learn. So this is like one of the best thing if you want to get started with AWS. You can go with AWS well architected tool, and just try to answer the questions, and then you will always learn like what else you can do, and how else you can design a new architecture, and that will be quite sublime. So means these are more about the management and governance tools. Then the media services. So for example, if you want to convert one media into one video into another video, or you want to do these kind of work, you can use media services. And then there's machine learning services. So these are means like if you go with Poly, this is like language, basically audio based service. Then will be a Lex, that is the basically the core of your what is your bots and all. And there will be there's so many services which you can go with. And then analytics services are also there. And then we have like AWS has security, identity, and compliance services. So these services will make your AWS service or infrastructure quite robust. You can use these services to uh, secure your complete infrastructure. So if you are a security engineer and all, so these services are for you. So like IAM, with IAM you can create your own roles and all. Using certificate manager, you can create your SSL certificates for free. Then using inspector, you can check whether your whatever infrastructure you have built uh, follow some compliances or not. And you can use guard duty to continuously monitor your complete infrastructure and let you know if someone is trying to hack your system and all. And then there's WF and shields, so which shield basically prevents you from the attack on your infrastructure, so like DDoS attack, shield will prevent. And WF is like firewall. So all these things are over there. So there are a lot many services more, like mobile services, AR, VR, then integration, application integration. So for example, if you go, there will be one service that is SQS. So this was the first service with which AWS has started. If I'm not wrong, then this was only the first service. So basically, it's like a queuing service where you just push all those data and then process it onto your EC2 instances. So it's like a queuing service. Then there's one more simple notification service, which you can think of it as a pub sub kind of model. So where you create one topic, and users can subscribe to that topic, and then you publish it, and all the subscriber will be notified. And subscription will be basically can be email or can be SMS. So all these things you can do using simple notification service. Then there's cost management services. So using this, you can optimize your cost, or you can analyze how much you have spent and where you have spent and what you can do to basically reduce your cost. Then there are services with like customer engagement services. So basically in this there's SES. So this one is email service. So if you want to send emails from using AWS, so this is the service. So you can think this as SendGrid or something. Might be you will be using certain other services in your uh, development work. So this is kind of SMTP settings you can do over here, and you can start sending mails via SES. Okay, even you can track your bounce rate and all those things using SES. And then they have business applications, end user computing, IoT. So if you are an IoT guy, you can use these services. And then game development. All these are there. So I think that would have answered your query regarding AWS service intro. So if you have any query, let me know, else we can move back to our main VPC session. So So if you go over here, so by default, there will be one VPC already created. So if you want to understand is how it works, you can refer this, and then you can create your own VPC. So if you go to your VPC and you just select the VPC and extend this section, you will see all this. Means basically there will be network ACL, then there will be route table. So these two are quite significant for today's lecture. So I'll just tell you about this in more detail, and also the CIDRs. So basically, if you are like new to this CIDR, so basically CIDR stands for classless inter-domain routing. So basically, if you look over here, right, so it's an IP, and you when you divide, you just prefix certain digits, and after that the digit will be variable. So if you want to learn more, you can go to the CIDR.xyz, and here you can write any IP. So let's go with 172.16, and then I'll place this as 0, and this also as 0, and I'll right, divided by 12. So if you see, right, so if you see, the first 12 bit will be fixed and rest of the things can vary. So it means when we are having a CIDR of 172.31.0.0 divided by 6, it means these 8 bit will be fixed. However, these 8 bits will vary. So, and since this is like IPv4, so means this will vary. So 0 to these two 0 will vary, and this will be used for your private subnets. So your all the instances which will be running within this VPC, their private IP will be within this. So it will be, it may be 172.31.0.1 or 172.31.255.254. However, it can't be 172.32 because only these two can vary, and this can't vary. So it will be like this. So if you have any question in CIDR, just ping me, else we can move to the next section over here. So we'll move to the network ACL. Okay, then I think we'll move to the network ACL. So basically network ACL stands for Network Access Control List. So if you go over here, any SS control list, you will find two kind of rules. One is inbound rule and one is outbound rule. So basically what it stands for is like, means in inbound rule you can define what kind of traffic is allowed to come to your instances. So within your VPC, what kind of traffic is allowed. And outbound rule stands for like, means what kind of traffic is allowed to go out of your um, this complete VPC. So these are two basically that since you can directly uh, means even allow and deny these kind of traffics. So that's why this is called a stateless, because you can even deny the traffic. So if you see over here, right, so even if I want to create some, I want to block certain kind of request, I can do it. So I can create like new rule, then I can means block any, so new port, like I don't want to use say RDP. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll simply block it. And once I block, these kind of basically connections will be not allowed within my VPC. So you can either allow or block. So it's up to you. Okay. So if you go over here, then you will find subnet association. So as I told, right, so if you see, there are multiple subnets, and if you observe over here, their IP is always like 172.31. So because for us it was 172.31/16. So only these two are varying. And so for each subnet, now if you see, so there will be again further further restrictions that how many IPs can be used. So you can use CIDR.xyz to calculate how many IPs you will get. So and means, and what are the constant, means how many instances you can run. So always remember, if you have more than the allowed IP over here, so your instances may not be getting means may not work properly. So you need to increase this basically CIDRs over here, or you can switch to basically different subnet. So and yeah, means this will be basically the overview of this. So if you have any query in network ACL, just let me know. Just put in chat, else we'll move to the next section. Go to my slide. So by default, these are allowed IPs for any VPC. Only these three are allowed. So basically, if you see, then means there are only three series allowed. So one is like 10.0.0.0 to 10.255, 255, 255, and you can have like means I think you can divide it by 8. So this is basically only the first digit will be allowed. So means 10 series is completely allowed, and 172.16 basically this is divided by 12. So that's why when you see the IPs allowed is like 172.32.31 divided by 16. And then one more series is allowed, that is 192.168.0.0. So when you will be using probably in your intranet, this IP you will be quite familiar with. And these are like quite fixed by AWS, so you can't change you means your IP within a VPC. You can't use another series, you can go with like 11.0.0. So these are fixed by AWS. So you have to means when you are designing your VPC, you have to choose either three of either one of these three. Okay, or you can choose like multiple, but only options will be within these three. So and yeah, means yeah, and AWS basically reserve five IPs for themselves. So, yeah, means they do these kind of things for like there will be one broadcasting IP which will be blocked, then one means dot zero will be blocked, then dot one, dot two, dot three. So these will be blocked. So totally AWS blocks five IPs for their purpose. And yeah, so this is more about this IPs which you're asking. So I hope I answered your query. If you have any other questions, just ask else. So now, since now we are clear with this, so this ACL, so now you can move to the subnets. So basically, if you see, then each VPC will have like basically multiple subnets. It is like a small networks within certain availability zones, and it will have certain range of IPs allotted to it, and also it will have a route table. So for example, this subnet over here has means basically one internet gateway. So it means that public internet can access to this VPC, and also within uh, this subnet, each instances can communicate with each other, and that's why it is local. So within this subnet, all instances will be able to communicate, and their IPs will be within this range. Okay, so it's like this. If you want to add more rules, you can have, and if you want to have like means connections with another VPCs, all those kind of things you can define in your route table. So basically, route table is the main basically a section which will decide what kind of traffic is going to come into your subnet and where it will be mapped. So all this kind of mapping will be done by your route table. So yeah, so this is if you have any question in route table, you can ask, else we'll move to next section. So yeah, fine. So now we are done with route table, network ACL, and we are, yeah, so we are almost over here. So yeah, let me go back to my slide. So if you see over here, so there are certain like there will be certain scenarios when you will be willing to communicate with the internet, and there will be also certain scenarios when you don't want to connect with the internet. So in that case, you can directly remove this internet gateway from your route table, and you will be not able to communicate with the outer world, and all the logic will be within your intranet. So over here, everything will be communicating easily within each other, but it will be not able to access to the outer world. So this is more about basically importance of the internet gateway. However, if you can use basically one what do you say? basically if you can use private link. So if you want to communicate with AWS services and you don't want to have like internet gateway, you can use a private link and you can easily connect with your AWS services. So for example, by default your VPC will not have access to AWS S3 bucket. So because those are like AWS services and those are not within your VPC. So for that, you can create your private links and you can use basically those services with your EC2 instances, and you can easily run your infrastructure even without connecting to your internet. So if you see in this diagram, you can directly relate with this. So here your EC2 instance lies, and there's one endpoint network interface, and there's a private link, and that private links connect with AWS services. Okay. And if you move further, so there'll be one means if you want to connect directly to your customer gateway, and you want to keep everything secure, you can use AWS virtual private gateway. So basically, this is used when you want to connect with means some corporate gateways, some corporate networks, and you can think of it like a on-premise network, and you can directly connect with your own VPC. Okay, and there's one more concept of peering, VPC peering. So that is when you want to connect within like multiple VPCs. So you can do it using a VPC peering, and it can be in same region or different region. So depending on your requirement, you can use the inter-region or intra-region peering to connect with one VPC to another. So I have, I think, yeah, so I have one diagram for that. So this is like when you want to connect one VPC with another VPC, you can use VPC peering. So these are already there with the AWS. So you can use this VPC peering to connect with one virtual private cloud to another virtual private cloud. So if you have any query till now, just let me know, else we can move to next. Okay, then let's move to the next section. So I'll open my AWS console. Okay, fine. So then let me cover again the route table. Okay, sure. Just let me go back to the route table. I hope you will be able to view my screen again. Yeah, so basically route table basically decides like which kind of traffic is allowed to connect to your basically instances. So if you have allowed certain say port 80 in your ACL, and you want that to be connected to your means internet, even if you have allowed ACL and you don't have internet gateway over here, you will be not able to communicate, means your VPC will be not able to communicate with your outer world. So let me show you this in a diagram, and I'll explain you in that. So let me open my slide. So yeah, so if you see over here, right? So there's one route table which is defining like means these instances will communicate with uh, basically one virtual private gateway, and basically the second subnet 2, since the route table doesn't have any connection with virtual private gateway, so this will be not able to communicate with customer gateway. So if you see in these diagrams, so the subnet 1 instances will be able to communicate with your customer gateway, but the subnet 2 will be not able to communicate with customer gateway because they are not allowed in the route table. So basically route table will define that whether it can communicate with the outer world or not, or whether it can use AWS services or not. So all these kind of basically IP kind of mapping you can do using in this one route table. So I hope I made things clear. If no, just let me know, else we'll move to the next section. Okay. So this was subnet, and we have talked about route table. Then there's an internet gateway over here. So if you want to create one more internet gateway, you can create it and you can attach to a VPC, and then that VPC will start means communicating with the outer world using that internet gateway. So this is quite easy. Means if you want to create a new internet gateway, you can go over here. You can means tag it, and you can directly basically create it. So it's in one click you will get the internet gateway. Then there are few more things which I like to cover in this session. So one is NAT gateway. So basically, if you want to connect to like means what is it? Uh, if you want to connect to means internet, the example which I took, right, of that instance. So if you don't want to have an instance, because that if you go with one instance, then always there will be a means problem of like means that instance going down, because it will be always busy as every traffic is going through that. So instead of going with that, you can use NAT gateway. You can create a NAT gateway, and you can directly use the NAT gateway for the purpose of having one instance which can communicate with the outer world through internet gateway. So instead of that, you can use NAT gateway. This will be means highly uh, elastic, and it can bear a lot of load. So NAT gateway will be useful for you in that situation. Okay. And also I wanted to cover this one, peer connection. So basically, now say that you want to connect one VPC with another VPC. So means there will be always a problem that if you expose both to internet gateway and then start communicating, then it may happen that basically it may happen that you may expose lot of lot of traffic, unwanted traffic, and it may expose a lot of security risk. So instead of that, what you can do is you can create peer-to-peer connection within within those VPCs, and you can easily communicate within those VPC without having means without communicating to any other kind of traffic. So you can directly map from one VPC to another. You can have connection, and you can also means, for example, if you want to if you have both the VPCs in same region, that also you can do. So that way, that is called basically intra region. And if you have to like connect with means one VPC in one region and in another region, so that also you can do. So that is called inter-region peering. So this kind of peering is already available. You can use it. Okay. So this is, always remember, this is used to means connect within two different kind of VPCs. Okay. So if you have any question in peering connection, you can ask. Else we can move to the next session. Next section probably. Yeah, I think Shubham has answered your query, Rohan. Yeah. So if you have any query in peering connection or till now, just uh, let me know. Else we can move to the next section. Basically, currently I have only one VPC. That's why I will be not able to communicate. I will be not able to demo this, but surely we can demo it in our next session. Okay. Yeah, so I think someone is asking, I think Nancy is asking about NAT incidents. So basically, if you see, right, basically NAT stands for Network Address Translation. So it's if you see, the main purpose of this is to basically translate the addresses. Okay. And if you are going with one instance only, to the example which I took, right? So that was an example of NAT instance. So like one instance which will be communicating with your what do you say, other instances, and it will be basically doing translation for them. So it can be like outer world transaction. So that instance can have internet connection, and that will translate internet basically for your other instances. So that is an example of NAT instance. And the problem with NAT instances, since so for example, say that you have only one instance, right? And the load increases, you have like 5-10 servers which are continuously pinging it. So it may happen that that instance will be quite busy, and you will be not able to process the data, or you will be not able to get that data quite at a quite good pace. So for that they have introduced NAT gateway. So it is not an instance, but it is, you can think of it as having multiple instances doing the same work which NAT instance used to do. So in layman terms, you can think of it like that. Okay. I hope I answered your query, Nancy. So yeah. So I think now we can move to our. Means if you guys are quite clear with this, then we can move to the next section. We can discuss about security groups, and then we can just have an overview of customer gateway, and then means this site-to-site VPN connection, then virtual private gateway. So let's start with security groups. So if you see the security, basically, if you, for example, I have a lot of security groups over here. So if you go over here, so it is, you can think of it as a means as you saw that the ACL, right? So it was having means rules which were allowing and blocking both. But if you go to any, this one, right? Any uh, security group, and if you open the inbound rule over here, you will not see that there's a option to block. So there will be whatever you allow, right? That will be by default be means both it will be allowed, means it will be allowed to go out and in also. So this is why it has a state. So that's why it's not stateless as ACL was. And the main purpose of this is, so I'll show you in a diagram. So the main difference you will see over here. Yeah. So basically, if you observe over here, right? So security group will handle, what is going to means what kind of traffic is going to be allowed to your EC2 instances, and your network ACL will decide what kind of traffic is going to be allowed or blocked to your subnet. So security group basically takes care of your instances, and network ACL take care of your subnets. So you can think of it's like a bigger security. Network ACL can be a bigger security because it will be, means if you block anything from a network ACL, and if you allow anything to your security group, means that will be not allowed, because network ACL will block it at first. Okay. And if you have like network ACL over here, and if you allow, for example, let's say that this instance in this subnet 2, the instance on the left and the security group on the left hand side has allowed port 80, and security group on right side has allowed port 443. Okay. So and both are allowed by your network ACL. So in that case, your instance on the left hand side will only means will be able to get traffic from port 80, but will be not able to get traffic from port 443. However, the reverse will be true for your instance on the right hand side. And now suppose that you block both port 80 and 443 from your network ACL. Although you have allowed those in your security group, you will be not able to get that traffic into your instance. Okay. So if you have query in this, means in security group and ACL, you can ask me, else we can move to the next section. Okay. Okay, fine. Then we can move to next section, that is customer gateway. So now let's say that you want to directly connect to your customers, and means your VPC, you want to expose it to your customer, and means not other, like means you don't want other people to access. So you can use this customer gateway. You can use it. You can allow, means like this static IP, and then one certificate. For example, if you have any SL certificate generated, you just means attach it, and then one IP address will be allotted, and then it will basically this will be only allowed to communicate with that. Okay, basically if you see over here, right, if you hover over, means if you have any when you are designing this kind of architecture, if you have any query, you can directly hover on the uh, tooltip over here, and it will explain you about these things. So basically, if you see, right, it is saying that the internet must be static and you will be behind the device. So basically, if you observe over here, there will be always a uh, what do you say, there will be always a IP, static IP attached to it, with which it will be communicating. So this way, since you will be allocating a static IP over here, so your client will be directly able to communicate with this IP, and your complete infrastructure will be exposed to that IP. Okay, so it will be only available to your certain clients. It will be not available to everyone. Okay. So this is more about customer gateway. Then there's basically virtual private gateway, then site-to-site VPN connection, and then client VPN endpoints. So client and VPN endpoints are, again, means you expose these endpoints to your clients. The difference between these services and your what do you say, your uh, VPC peering is that those basically those were within VPCs, and these services like client VPN endpoint, this will be an endpoint which can be accessible from, means anyone can access your VPC using these endpoints. Okay, so this is like this can be used for your these services can be used for your on-premise data, on-premise infrastructure to communicate with your cloud data. So these kind of services can be used to build an hybrid cloud. So basically, if you have certain things on your premise and certain things in cloud, so these endpoints will help you to communicate with within those you can say within that infrastructure. Okay. So I think we had this much for today's session. So if you have any query till now, you can just ask. Else we can move to the next session, and we can move to means our lab session. So where we'll demo you how to post a WordPress website and how to put it behind a CloudFront, and basically how to expose that to means what is the advantage of CloudFront, and how you can launch a WordPress website. So if you have any query till now, you can ask, else we can move to the next section. Okay, then let's move to the next section.